Welcome back to our channel. Before you spend that penny, watch this. Certain years and mint marks can be worth serious cash. Like and subscribe to find out if you have one. In 1991, the Lincoln cent was as common in America as morning coffee and traffic lights. With billions of 1-cent coins struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mints that year, it was a pocket change staple, so ordinary that most people barely noticed it. By then, the penny had been made from a copper-plated zinc composition for almost a decade, replacing the nearly pure copper planchets used before 1982. The change in metal content had altered the coin's weight, sound, and even how it aged, but few outside the coin-collecting world paid attention. Yet, hidden among the billions of 1991 pennies was a coin that would one day captivate numismatists and collectors alike. A piece so rare that it stood out like a lighthouse on a dark night. It was born from a freak minting mishap, the kind of event that simply wasn't supposed to happen in the highly automated, tightly controlled environment of the modern U.S. Mint. The story begins with a man named Robert, an Illinois schoolteacher and longtime coin roll hunter. One Saturday morning, while sorting through a box of pennies from his local bank, Robert spotted something unusual. A coin flashed back at him with a different kind of luster. Not the dull reddish tone of a copper-plated zinc cent, but a richer, warmer shine. He plucked it out and noticed it was dated 1991. Something about its color and weight felt wrong. Out came the digital scale. A standard 1991 cent should weigh 2.5 grams, but this one tipped the scale at 3.11 grams, the exact weight of the old bronze cents made before mid-1982. That shouldn't have been possible. The U.S. Mint had switched entirely to the lighter zinc core nearly a decade earlier. The only logical explanation was that this 1991 cent had been struck on a leftover bronze planchet. An extremely rare transitional error. Robert's hands shook slightly as he examined it under a loupe. The strike was sharp, the rims full, and the fields mostly clean with just light circulation marks. Its golden brown toning hinted that it had been sitting undisturbed for years. He could even tell that the coin's edge was free of any plating bubbles, a problem common in zinc cents, but non-existent on solid bronze pieces. How could a bronze blank survive until 1991? The most likely scenario is that a few planchets had been tucked away in a bin, hidden under newer zinc blanks, and accidentally fed into the presses during a 1991 production run. The odds of such an oversight were astronomically small, making the error both historically fascinating and financially valuable. Robert sent the coin to a top-tier grading service, where the authenticity was confirmed. A genuine 1991 Lincoln cent struck on a pre-1982 bronze planchet. Not only that, but it graded exceptionally well for such an error, adding to its allure. Word of the discovery rippled through collector forums, drawing interest from Lincoln cent specialists, error collectors, and investors alike. Months later, when Robert decided to offer it at auction, the anticipation was intense. Bidders from across the country vied for ownership, each knowing they might never see another example of this error from the 1991 date in such pristine condition. The bidding was fierce, the price climbing higher and higher until the hammer finally came down. The very rare 1991 U.S. 1-cent penny, struck in error on a bronze planchet nearly a decade after the official composition change, realized a staggering value in the range of $45,000 to $110,000. Proof that even the smallest coin can carry an extraordinary story and a fortune in the right hands. In 2006, the Lincoln Memorial Cent was one of the most ordinary coins in American circulation. Billions rolled off the presses at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, each one a copper-plated zinc piece weighing exactly 2.5 grams. By then, the design featuring Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse had been in use for decades, making the 2006 penny seem almost invisible in everyday life. It was the kind of coin that disappeared into pockets, change jars, and cash registers without a second thought. But in that sea of sameness, something happened. Something the mint never intended, something that would transform an otherwise modern penny into a numismatic marvel. Somewhere in the precise, mechanized rhythm of production, an anomaly crept in undetected at first. And one coin would bear the mark of that moment. It came to light in the hands of Mark, a collector from Pennsylvania with a keen eye for unusual details. Mark wasn't a casual change checker. He was the sort who spent hours each week searching bank rolls, weighing coins, and inspecting them under magnification. Late one evening, While sifting through a box of pennies he had picked up earlier that day, he spotted one that looked slightly different. The luster was muted, warmer in tone, and it didn't quite feel right in his fingers. Curious, he set it on his scale. The reading stopped at 3.11 grams, significantly heavier than the standard 2.5 grams for a 2006 cent. That was impossible under normal circumstances. Only pennies made before 1982, struck on bronze planchets, carried that heavier weight. The mint had long since transitioned to the zinc core composition, so how could a 2006 penny carry the weight of an older coin? Mark's first thought was that maybe it was a fake or altered, but a closer inspection under his loupe told a different story. The details of Lincoln's portrait were crisp, the rims were well-defined, and there were no signs of tampering. The coin's color and texture matched that of genuine bronze cents from the early 80s. What he was holding appeared to be a 2006 Lincoln cent struck on a leftover bronze planchet. A minting error that should never have been possible. He knew enough about minting to guess how this could happen. Somewhere in the mint's vast storage and handling systems, a few old bronze planchets had somehow survived. They may have been stuck in machinery, forgotten in bins, or hidden beneath a batch of modern zinc blanks. At some point in 2006, one of these survivors made its way into the press, producing a coin that defied the official specifications. The significance wasn't just in the mistake, it was in the sheer improbability of it. By 2006, nearly a quarter-century had passed since the switch to zinc cores. For a leftover bronze blank to remain undiscovered for that long was astonishing. And for one to be struck, released into circulation, and then actually found by a collector, the odds were almost unthinkable. Mark didn't waste time. He sent the coin to a respected grading service, where metallurgical tests confirmed it was solid bronze. The graders authenticated it as a genuine mint error, and its condition turned out to be excellent, lightly circulated but retaining sharp detail. This wasn't just an oddity, it was a prize. When news of the coin surfaced, the buzz spread quickly through coin forums and collector circles. Transitional and off-metal errors like this were legendary, but a 2006 example was something almost no one had seen. Specialists in Lincoln cents and modern errors both recognized its rarity and began speculating on what it might bring at auction. Months later, when Mark finally decided to let it go, the bidding war was intense. Seasoned collectors and investors drove the price higher and higher, each knowing it could be years before another example of this caliber appeared on the market. The very rare 2006 US 1-cent penny, struck in error on a pre-1982 bronze planchet, ultimately reached an extraordinary value in the range of $38,000 to $99,000, a stunning reminder that even the smallest coin can carry a story worth a fortune. In 2010, the United States Mint issued a coin that was part of a historic transition in American currency. It was the year after the Lincoln Bicentennial Series, when 4 special reverse designs had been released to honor the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. In 2010, the reverse switched permanently to the new shield design, replacing the long-running Lincoln Memorial that had graced the penny since 1959. Billions of these new coins poured into circulation, each bearing the same modern composition of copper-plated zinc and weighing 2.5 grams. To most people, a 2010 penny was just another face in the crowd, something to spend without even noticing. But buried in that ocean of change, a tiny number of coins stood apart. They weren't supposed to exist. They slipped through the cracks of the mint's famously strict production process, carrying an unintentional difference that turned them into rarities almost from the moment they were struck. One such coin was discovered by a small-time collector named Alex, who lived in Kansas. Alex wasn't a full-time numismatist. He collected coins mostly for the joy of the hunt, picking up rolls from local banks and going through them in the evenings. One spring night, while searching through a freshly opened bank box, he came across a 2010 penny that didn't quite look right. Its color was warmer, richer than the standard copper-plated zinc coins he was used to seeing, and it had a slightly more solid feel in his fingers. He set it on his scale out of curiosity. The digital display blinked, then stopped at 3.11 grams. Alex froze. That was the exact weight of the older bronze cents the mint had stopped making in 1982. But this was a 2010 shield cent, almost 3 decades after the composition had officially changed. His mind began racing. He examined the coin under magnification, looking for any signs of alteration or plating. There were none. The details were sharp, the rims full and clean, and the luster matched that of a freshly struck coin. Everything pointed toward the impossible. This was a modern shield cent struck on a leftover bronze planchet. Minting experts would later speculate on how such a thing could happen. It was likely that a stray bronze blank, somehow overlooked for decades, had remained lodged deep within a bin or hopper in the mint's facility. When the presses began striking the 2010 cents, this forgotten planchet found its way into the system, producing a coin that never should have existed. Alex knew immediately he had something special, but he didn't fully realize how special until he sent it for professional grading. The results confirmed his hopes: 100% genuine, a transitional off-metal error with no signs of tampering. To add to the excitement, the graders noted the coin was in extremely high condition, showing minimal handling. When word got out about the find, the numismatic community took notice. Collectors of modern errors recognized that this was more than just a curiosity. It was a near-miraculous survival, a coin that linked two distinct eras of U.S. coinage. The fact that it bore the brand-new shield reverse design only heightened its desirability, marking it as a one-of-a-kind anomaly in the timeline of Lincoln cents. Eventually, Alex decided to part with it, and when the coin crossed the auction block, the room was charged with anticipation. Seasoned bidders pushed the price higher with each round, fully aware that opportunities to own such an error might never come again. The very rare 2010 US 1-cent penny, struck in error on an obsolete bronze planchet, ultimately reached an extraordinary value in the range of $30,000 to $90,000, a staggering sum for a coin most people would overlook in their pocket change.